and we can get started. Pete will join when he shows up.
Yep.
What a deadbeat. Can't believe it.
Shame.
I have other commitments. I have a family. Ugh. I will do the countdown, and then I don't know. Usually Pete would have a fun fact. We'll see if Pete joins, and then we can.
We'll have to come up with a fun fact. Hold on. We got to figure out a fun fact. We can't have a show start without a fun fact.
I mean, we can have Pete give the fun fact when he shows up.
Can I do a joke fun fact?
No, it has to be factual.
Serious,
damn it! All right.
Serious
and fun.
Fun fact. Let me check our fun facts channel on the Discord. No, these are all old. We're fucked. Show's canceled, everybody. Let's pick it up tomorrow.
Normal fun.
No. No, I just texted Pete and told him to come in hot with a fun fact when he shows up.
Okay.
Just join the call.
Just kick the door down and be like,
yeah,
did you know that ducks have corkscrew penises?
Just just cut the person off from what they're saying. Did you know?
Did you know that pigs could be charged for murder and were tried for murder?
My fun fact was going to be, did you know we only don't know 7 species in the deep sea? Because scientists made a list of all of them, and they crossed off the ones they knew and circled the ones they didn't.
It's true.
Oh, well, in that case, they nailed it. They wrote a list. They're like, don't know that one.
That's my favorite thing to say to people when I first meet them.
Monstrous.
All right, start the show.
Okay, man, are you ready to go? I'm ready to go. Now, come on, now crank this motherfucker up.
Break it down like this.
Hello, Internet. Gino that Pinguino Greco here again with another episode of Deep Listens, and today we are going to be discussing God of War 2018, the sequel to God of War 3, kinda. It's weird. Continuity's weird. We're going to be discussing everything from the top of the mountain to the end of the game, and if you know what I said, then you'll know what the situation is if you've played the game. I don't think it's a spoiler for those of you who have not played the game, but if you don't want to be spoiled on the end of God of War 2018, a 4-year-old game, maybe check out the next podcast, or just listen to this on mute. Give us the downloads and the numbers.
Listen to this 1 to 2 hour podcast the whole way through, but muted.
Yeah,
please, for the analytics.
For the analytics, please, for the numbers. That voice you hear is the mistress of games, M. Palladino. Hello, M.
Hello. This is probably the longest game I've completed in some time, so yay.
And we are also joined by a special guest, Rob Palladino, M's brother. How are you, Rob?
I am doing well. Thank you, Gino. How are you guys?
We're doing well. Can't complain. It's a nice day.
I can complain.
Don't.
Okay.
And would you look at what the cat dragged in? We have another co-host who's joined, Pete Busby. Hello, Pete.
Hello. Glad to jump in. Sorry I'm slightly tardy, but better late than never, I would say. We still talking about God of War? Or have you finished that without me?
We're just getting started.
Excellent. Glad to hear it. So I do have a belated fun fact, if you'll still indulge me.
Yeah, fine.
I don't know.
Well, I want to hear it, so.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, so fastest man-made object ever. It's officially a satellite slingshotted around, I want to say the sun. It's the less interesting bit, so I didn't look that far into it. But the more interesting thing is the unofficial record. So this was a manhole cover that was estimated to have left the ground at 37 miles per second, which is 130,000 miles per hour. So that's
What?
5 times the escape velocity of the planet. Yeah. It was
How?
a nuclear test. They were blowing nuclear bombs underground, and it basically just turned, I heard the phrase, turned the Earth into a giant nuclear potato cannon and
Oh,
just
God.
launched this manhole cover. They've never been able to find it, obviously.
It's lodged in a very unlucky man in the Himalayas.
Well, I would assume it's in space, right?
Oh, right. That is a lot more than the escape velocity.
So like I said, it's 5 times escape velocity, but I think the theory is that it didn't actually make it to space because it was like small enough and frictioned enough to slow it down before that.
Oh.
Yeah, but they caught it on this high-speed camera, and they only had it for like 1 frame because it was flying through so fast.
Incredible. So they anticipated this?
No, I think pure coincidence. I don't think they were trying to launch a manhole cover at 130,000 miles per hour when they conducted the test.
But they put a camera there.
They were trying to film their nuclear test, but then they were like, what the fuck is that?
They got something way
And
cooler.
then they zoomed in on it and were like, I think that's a manhole cover.
Enhance.
I want to believe that there was like a part of this nuclear science division that had to study the manhole specifically. Like they weren't allowed to study anything else and just the manhole.
Steven, you're responsible for the manhole. But I want
It
to
was
work
a
on the
summer
bombs. Yep.
When was this?
When? 1957.
Okay.
That's a good time for nuclear hijinks.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
was-
peak.
It was in vogue at the time.
Yes.
Very trendy.
Well, glad to have the whole crew here. Reminder, you can get in touch with the show at Deep Listens Pod on Twitter, deeplistens.libsyn.com. We have our comment sections and deeplistenspodcast@gmail.com. And you can support the show on patreon.com/deeplistens. We are also still reminding you to donate, if you can, to the National Network of Abortion Funds, because abortion rights in the U.S. are still under threat. Stuff is still crappy out here for folks who would like to exercise their reproductive freedom. So if you're in a position to do so, please do donate. But with that little plug of the Patreon earlier, I think it's a good time now for us to go check in on the Discord report.
The Discord report. Boop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop. This week on the Discord, we're gearing up for our Game of the Year 2022. As you might have known, I've been doing my year of torture, and boy, it's going to be a doozy this year, because we played a lot of bad games and not a lot of good ones.
We sure did. 1/3 of our game, more than 1/3, because I've picked bad games. We've all picked bad games. Some of us picked Layers of Fear on purpose. So, yeah, there will be some very bad games. This is going to be one of the tougher ones to have, competition.
We're going to really have to work hard to find good games to
give an award to.
Yeah. So that's coming up. The Fantasy Basketball League is still going on, and I have to say I am killing it.
M's in first.
I'm in first right now.
Are you serious?
Are you a basketball fan now? Has this sparked a nascent love in you?
No. But I do like winning, so I like seeing the number go up.
And
so that's fun.
And you know how to use spreadsheets, which is powerful.
Yes. I like to look at the spreadsheet and go, well, this guy's number is bigger than this guy's number. And that's basically all you need to understand.
You sound like Daryl Morey.
I don't know who that is.
He's a general manager whose whole philosophy is talent is all that matters. The players will figure it out. So he'll just assembles rosters that are just these horrible misshapen creatures.
Just maximizing assets at all costs.
I see. Well,
anytime he can trade someone who seems like they know what they're doing for just someone unstable who's technically more talented, he's like, let's do that. It's awesome.
No trading. except for maybe we're gonna trade. But I'm sticking by my guys. I picked good guys.
You did. You picked good guys, and most of them haven't gotten hurt yet.
Yes, that's my secret. If no one gets hurt, you win the games.
Yes, my guys got hurt.
Hee hee.
Yep.
Anything else going on in the Discord?
I think we had. Oh, yep.
You're doing the.
Oh no,
What are you
no,
doing?
don't announce that.
No, it's a
No,
secret.
not yet. It's a secret.
Okay.
That's a tease.
Oh, there's nothing going on.
There are teases.
Forget I said anything.
Yeah, maybe like check out a website that I moderate for in the next few weeks, and maybe you'll see me there. Who's to say?
Suspicious.
Yep, suspicious. And then I think the only other stuff was there's a new Final Fantasy TCG set out, and they listened to the Lesbian Thirst Trap rankings. That's all I can
Sure
say.
did.
There are
We did good work, and they heard us.
I might have to get into Magic. Never interested before, but
there are two different lightnings in this set. Two different ones. Her in a ball gown and her in a armor, like a skin tight armor suit.
The ball gown is very nice.
Yes. But
Also, this reminds me of the other thing that was going on in the Discord, which is we got super into Marvel Snap.
yes, I've been doing Spite Club, which is a stream where I play it out of spite because people called me a wussy for uninstalling the game.
He says he's doing it for spite, but then he'll be like, I'm going to go eat dinner now, and then plays like 3 more games.
The games
So-
are very fast.
Yes.
To
It's
be
hard
fair.
to put down.
It's a low commitment thing.
Yeah.
All right, and then I think that's it for the Discord. I think it's time for my my shout out of the week, my obsession of the week. And this week, my obsession is for the new motion picture film, Violent Night. Are you familiar with this film?
I am not. Did you say violet, like the color, or violent?
Violent, like
Violent.
stabbings.
Oh, okay.
Violent Night. It stars, I believe, David Harbour is his name from Stranger Things,
Yes, it is.
as Santa Claus. And the premise is Santa is delivering presents. He's a little bit disillusioned by the lack of Christmas spirit. And so he's delivering presents. He's taking cookies. He's drinking milk. And he happens to be delivering presents to a house that is under a home invasion and a hostage situation. And the deer gets spooked away, and he's stuck there. And he has to fight his way out. It's a great film. It's incredible.
How many people die over the course of this film?
So many.
Excellent.
Yes?
I don't want you. I don't want any spoilers, but just tell me this: does Santa have powers, or is he just a man out for revenge?
He has the Santa powers you know about, and
Okay.
those are the only Santa powers he has.
God,
Wait, hold on.
Yes?
Hot lead.
What Santa powers do you know about? Because I don't know what Santa powers
He can
are
go up.
universal.
He can go up and down chimneys real good.
Oh, okay.
He's got a sack full of toys that seems to produce as many toys as is necessary to satisfy the needs of children. He has a list. It can
Does he
identify.
check it twice?
It can identify whether people are naughty or nice.
How many
And he
times
uses
did
it
you
to
check it?
kill.
Yo,
Yes.
you need to
Correct.
watch this movie.
going to.
This movie is. You know all the assholes who say that their favorite Christmas film is Die Hard?
Die Hard. Yeah, what
Mhm.
jerks.
They said, what if we actually made a Christmas movie for those people instead so they could stop being insufferable? From the trailer, this is not a spoiler because it's in the trailer, a little girl has a walkie-talkie talking to Santa and says, Santa, what do you do to bad guys? And he says, I give them a lump of coal. And then she says, well, give them their lumps.
Oh my god.
Nice.
It's so good. I was cackling most of the movie. It is, Very well done. Check out Violent Night while it's in theaters. I hope it'll be there forever, but unclear.
It'll be there every Christmas season for the rest of eternity.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that they went action movie with Santa this time, because they've done horror movie with Santa. They've done romance movie with Santa. The next film I want to see next Christmas, I want to see someone who takes I Caught Mommy Kissing Santa Claus very seriously. That just like Santa's come down chimneys stealing ladies.
Like it's like Marriage Story, but with Santa as like a third character.
Yeah, I was gonna say, see Santa in divorce court, like.
No, I want Santa like coming down the chimney and seducing.
Mm-hmm.
Just like
very different.
There's
vibe.
got to be one out there already.
I don't know. Check it out.
I think you're looking for pornography.
No, that's not it. That's not it.
I think that is a genre already.
I want it to be a rom-com. I want Santa like to come down the chimney and then, I don't know, Reese Witherspoon sees him for a brief moment.
Oh man.
But she's a ghost.
I think I'm seeing what you're saying though. Like every year Santa comes back and it's the same lady and they have a torrid romance for like one night.
The lake house.
Yes, the lake house, but Santa.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's Jake Gyllenhaal.
I see the name of it already. It's Silent Night, Home Wrecking Night.
And then every morning the husband's like, I can't believe, she's in a loveless marriage, and every year around Christmas suddenly she's happy. And he's like, well, it goes with Santa's magic.
It's Christmas spirit, yeah.
He's like, I found cookie crumbs again.
Again?
And then he's like, I'm going to dress up as Santa this time. And she thinks it's Santa, but really it's her husband. And he rekindle their marriage.
Yep. And then
it's getting steamy.
See, you get it. You get it.
I'm opening up my
open up a Google document.
App.
Yep. We'll get this greenlit. It'll be soon. All right. So clearly this is the opening to a podcast about God of War 2018.
If you couldn't tell.
Since, it was so obvious, I didn't think I needed to call it out, but I feel like we should probably talk a little bit about God of War 2018. When last we left Kratos and his son, Boy, they had climbed a mountain and thought, oh, finally we can spread Mom's ashes. We've gone to the tallest mountain. And then at the top of the mountain, there's this jerk who's stuck in a tree named Mimir, who's like, nah, this isn't the tallest mountain. You need to go to Jotunheim. And they're like, but that's so far away. And so they cut off Mimir's head and then go to have it revived by Freya, the Witch of the Woods. And so we go on. So you go back.
Just to remind us.
Yep.
Why didn't we just he opened a portal to Jotunheim and was like, it's over there. Why didn't we just jump through that at the time?
He didn't actually open it. The portal was there, but they didn't have the proper
key.
tools.
Oh,
to
right. That was it.
Yeah.
We needed the chisel and the
rune.
okay.
They needed
It's
the
all
rune
coming back to me.
and a sweet chisel. Though it does raise the question, why cut off Mimir's head instead of cutting the tree down?
Because they couldn't cut through the tree.
It's a really good tree.
Yeah, it's an Odin-made tree, so
Okay. Well,
can't just cut that down.
Kratos is no stranger to cutting off a dude's head and then carrying it around. That was a key mechanic in God of War 3.
It was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whose head did he cut off?
He ripped off Helios's head with his bare hands.
Oh. Did it still talk?
It screamed.
It screams and emits light, so yeah.
Oh.
It doesn't talk to you in a pleasant way.
Okay.
It's more of a flashlight that screams.
Yeah, it's like you'll pull it out and you can hear it faintly going like ah.
That's kind of funny though.
It is kind of funny though.
I've been playing God of War 3 and every time I pull it out I chuckle a little bit.
Mimir barely screams. You cut his head off and then you go to the Witch of the Woods, Freya. She says, "I'd love to revive your friend." Does she just she just revives him, right? She just has a spell. You need to find 3 things in her garden.
Yeah, you just pick some flowers for her.
Mm-hmm.
it seems like something they were going to make more of a big deal about, like, in the back end. And then they were like, nah, fuck it. Just, we got to cut something. This game is already 80 hours long.
Yeah. So you revive Mimir. Also, when you go see Freya, previously to getting to the top of the mountain, Atreus, a.k.a. Boy, gets some new fancy arrows that are made of mistletoe that are stronger than his previous arrows. Upon seeing those, Freya's like, no. Let me give you some enchanted arrows that are not made of mistletoe for no reason. Also, anytime you see mistletoe, destroy it.
Very, very subtle. Very casual advice.
My first playthrough, I thought there was going to be another collectible that was like mistletoe arrows, because I didn't catch on to that at first. And
You
then
just
I was
pick
just like,
'em
oh
up.
my god, another collectible. Goddamn, like.
It's just
Where those stupid
mistletoe.
ravens I have to find.
Yeah, mistletoe everywhere for smooches. But no collectibles, no fun, mistletoe.
That's another reason this is a holiday game.
Yes.
Remember when I was
Mistletoe.
listing those reasons? There's mistletoe in this game.
That's true.
Checkmate.
It snows.
Topical.
It snows. Yes, exactly.
So, and if you see Violent Night, maybe Norse stuff comes up. Who's to say? So, yeah, you get the head, and now Mimir is on your belt, and he tells you lore whenever you boat. And he guides you. Where does he guide you first? I'm forgetting. Where do you get Mimir's head, and then...
So you need to get the stuff to open the portal.
Oh, yeah, you need to...
You need to get the chisel.
You need to get
I
the
think that's
chisel.
the first
That's
thing.
where you go. That's where you go with him first.
Yeah, you go to get the chisel, and the chisel is on the corpse of a giant.
That's a very
yes.
big corpse.
It's a huge corpse. There's a big chisel, and that big chisel, you need to break a tiny little chisel off of it by parkouring all over Thamur's corpse. But while you are trying to get to the chisel, you are attacked by Magnus and Modi, Thor's kids, who are just shitty.
Yeah, they're a comedic duo, right? Like they're not to be taken seriously, are they?
I don't know. I mean, I think there's definitely weight to like meeting them first, but because they're like one of the first gods that you meet in the Norse pantheon, but they don't really. I mean, they kind of fall a little bit flat just because you don't see them that much.
You see Kratos is actually defeating toxic masculinity when he beats the shit out of Magnus and Modi with his bare hands. I mean, most of the time when they talk to you, they are like talking about how they killed your wife or fucked your wife and want to kick the shit out of your tiny little son.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're not
I mean,
good guys.
Magni is a little bit less of a dickhead than Modi is, because Modi really leans into like, man, your mom let me have sex with her. That's why you're so ugly.
You're my kid, and that's why you're
And
ugly
then
as
it's
shit.
like, what? It's like, you're not even my father.
Wait, so you're saying you're ugly? No.
I mean,
Shut up.
Ah, damn it. Got
Let's
me
fight.
again.
You eat pieces of shit like you for breakfast. You eat pieces of shit? Yeah, so like you fight them. At first it seems like the fight is. I mean, Baldur survived your fight and seemed fine. This fight goes more sideways. Kratos beats which one is it? Magnus?
It's the
Magni.
larger one.
Magni, yeah.
Yeah, he beats Magni to death and just fucking kills him. And Mimir's like, yeah, so Odin's probably not gonna like that. That's probably going to be bad for you that you're killing gods here. But what's done is done. And Modi kind of slinks away. At this point, you get the chisel, you start going back. You're going to now find like where the rune is, because there's a lock that you need to use the chisel to open a section of Tyr's castle? No, Tyr's shrine? Temple?
Yep, temple.
Tyr's
Yeah.
temple, which is the temple that lets you traverse the different realms. When you go back there, you open up one of the rooms, go solve some more puzzles, moving blocks, etc., etc. and right before you're going to get the rune, Modi shows back up, attacks you, and oh no, does your son just? Yeah, the sickness is from Modi showing back up, right?
So the sickness is from Modi showing up, kind of beating Kratos into submission for a second, and then Atreus gets like really angry and then kind of unleashes his version of Spartan Rage, and then kind of collapses because it just took all of it out of him, and then he gets sick after that.
Yeah. And
after you use your Spartan Rage to beat the shit out of Modi again.
Yep. And so you leave, head back to Freya's place. Freya's not especially happy with you, because when Mimir is revived, Kratos is very cold to Freya because she's a god, and he doesn't like that she's a god, and is really up his own ass about it, I guess. He's very high and mighty about it.
Might have something to do with all the gods he killed in those other games. He's not a biggest fan of gods.
No, and yet he is one, you know?
Makes you think.
So, Pete, what did you think of the explanation of why Atreus is sick? If you remember. I can refresh your memory if you do not remember what the cause of his illness is.
Wasn't he just always sick as a kid?
Yeah, but
he was, but there is a story reason for it.
Yeah. The explanation of why he is sick is that the conflict of being told that he is mortal when he is a god is reflecting itself in his illness. So because he does not know that he is a god, he is torn, like Natalie Imbruglia in the song Torn. Pete, what did you think of this explanation of illness?
For it's a manifestation of his own internal chaos.
Yeah, his inner turmoil.
I mean, it's sort of, there's this very famous sort of idea of illness as metaphor, where basically it's a manifestation of, in this case, your mental state or your karma or your morality. I don't know. I think it's always a little sort of hacky to say oh, this illness is a sign of deeper and more turbulent waters. He also why would that heal him? Just knowing that, I don't know. I wasn't impressed, but it's fine. There needed to be some sort of impetus for Kratos to tell his son, otherwise he just never would have.
Yeah, and I did like it as a Kratos being very closed off and refusing to explain the world to his son and be a good father to his son and just tell the truth about his past. Not opening up to his son literally caused his son to get sick. I think it's very ham-fisted, it's a very, hit you over the head sort of metaphor. But I think it works. It does what it needs to do. It makes Kratos want to talk.
It's good that there are consequences to Kratos' sort of, like you said, emotional closed offness. Otherwise, it would just be a parable about how, the strong are the best and they don't need anyone else.
Yeah. Rob, what did you think of this section?
I mean, it's I kind of look at it from the lens of, it is, kind of what you said before, a ham-fisted way of doing things. But again, the inner turmoil for Atreus needed to manifest itself legitimately, or else it's, what we were saying is that Kratos would have never said anything. So you kind of see it both what happens to Atreus as well as, when you're traveling by boat back to the house to help Atreus, you see it manifest in the world as well.
Yes.
So I thought that was, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, like you said, the climate actually changes. It rains. Atreus being sick is reflected in the weather, which seems to be story relevant.
I always took that as a kind of a callback to God of War 3 when, you start killing gods and it has actual effects on the world around you. I think when you kill Poseidon, the entirety of Greece floods. So it's when the gods have some sort of illness or whether they're killed, there are, actions do have consequences. And I kind of took it as that.
Yeah, totally. So you get Atreus. So to get Atreus fixed, you need to go to Hell and kill the Guardian of Hell.
the guardian of the bridge to that kind of ferries lost souls to hell.
Yeah, so you have to go to Helheim, which apparently is very cold, and your frost axe has no effect on the undead of Helheim, and so you have to go back to that life that Kratos thought he left behind. Em, what did you think of Kratos revisiting his home?
So, in order to actually get there, you got to take a boat down the river, and it's like several minutes of like just floating down the river with just yourself and your thoughts, and it's really a reflective moment. And then he goes into his house and goes under the floorboards, and he gets the Blades of Chaos, the signature weapon from all those other God of War games, which you haven't seen yet in this game. And then you get to go apeshit on a bunch of random mobs outside the house because they were like, these things are rad as fuck.
Oh, yeah. Forgive a question from a God of War novice.
Yep.
What's Athena's role in all this? So, like, she shows up the second he puts on the blades, and I don't know why.
So, Athena basically is kind of the one of the antagonists in the original games, where she kind of leads Kratos through his journey to godhood. And then ultimately, I think it's in God of War 2, it's when Kratos tries to kill Zeus for the first time. She jumps in the way, and she ends up dying. And obviously, this person who's been helping you out like the entire time gets killed. Zeus does the whole spiel where he's like, this is your fault. Like, if you didn't do the things you did, this wouldn't have happened. So Kratos is kind of now she shows up in God of War 3 as well as like a spirit. But Kratos, no pun intended, is pretty much chained to Athena throughout, the rest of that story, and then through like the 75% of this game. He's not necessarily chained to her, or you don't really know it until you pick up the Blades of Chaos.
Yeah, so she's kind of like your Mimir to a certain degree. Like she shows up throughout God of War 1. She guides you to killing Ares in God of War 1. She's helping you out in 2. She becomes a ghost, but she's always kind of the person who's telling Kratos what's quote unquote best for him or best for the gods. And so she's equal parts like a helper and also manipulator. So because does she give him the Blades of Chaos?
She gives him the Blades of Exile, which are just the Blades of Chaos. I mean, They go through so many different name variations, but yeah, it's the Blades of Chaos.
Yeah, so she gave him those blades. So that is what the callback is supposed to be for. And the guilt that he has for killing her. Because she is a god he did not mean to kill. Like, she jumps in the way of him trying to kill someone else. Yeah, so you get the Blades of Chaos back, and from a gameplay perspective, Pete, what did you think of the Blades of Chaos?
They are rad. I mean, they're much sort of longer range, I guess, is like the key. So like you can throw the axe, but the Blades of Chaos, you spin, you heave, you swing. It was nice. It was nice to get like a change of gameplay because like you basically use the axe the whole time. But as somebody who never played the previous God of War games, I kind of missed my axe. It's more brutal, I guess, to be that in close.
Yeah, the Blades of Chaos are kind of your AoE like crowd control weapons because he whips them around, and many of his moves are just like spin in circles with blades flying around you. And then the axe is your heavy hitting single target sort of weapon. So I like that they gave you the Blades of Chaos because playing with the axe, like I liked the axe, but they ran out of things to do with the axe a few hours in. I maxed that thing out. So having another weapon with its own skill tree kind of helped.
Yeah, by this point, if you've been doing all the side quests, there's only like 10 levels in this game, so you're probably like level 5, I would say. at least level 4, and you have a ton of experience that you've probably just dumped into the axe because that's the only thing to use, really, unless you're going to barehand it. It was nice to have another option, but also everyone likes just big swingy things. They have good kinetics, I would say.
And they also, I like the grab, so like the ranged attack with the Blades of Chaos is a scorpion get over here, instead of being, an actual true like thrown attack, which I think is fun.
What I really like too is that they, for all the runic attacks that you get for the Blades of Chaos, they kept the original like kind of moveset names from God of War 3. So like, if you look at like a runic attack, it's not like, some Norse-based thing. It's like, Nemean Crush or
Icarus's Rise.
Yeah, I think that was so cool that they kept it like that.
Yeah, they kept all the combo names. They kept most of how the combos actually play out, even down to the button presses, which I thought was really cool. I liked controlling Kratos with the Blades of Chaos more, just because I've played games with him playing that way. And it was nice to kind of have that old muscle memory come back, especially like halfway into this game. So you go down to Hell at this point, you and Mimir. Kratos, with the Blades of Chaos, you have a fire-based weapon, so you can mess up all of those enemies who were immune to your weapons before. Hell is pretty barren. It's icy. Rob, what's going on in Hell? It seems like bad stuff.
So, I mean, I think from a mythology perspective, the Hell is not necessarily like this bad place that, people know from like Catholicism. It's not like this, hellish place that you burn for eternity. It's more of like, lost wayward souls that didn't make it to Valhalla go down to Hell. And I'm not like 100% sure if they serve some sort of punishment. I mean, being in that cold is punishment enough, but it's just another place that that souls can go to after they die.
Yeah, and it's Hell, Hel, single L.
Yep.
So it's different. Helheim. It's slightly different.
Interestingly,
Off-brand.
Hell's also very cold in Dante's Inferno at the very bottom.
Yes, it is.
Interestingly, the video game Dante's Inferno is very similar to God of War.
We should play that game.
It's knockoff God of War. It's ridiculous. But yeah, so like Hell, when you get there, it is overrun. Hell's full, turns out. The Valkyries, who were responsible for sorting out the damned from, I guess, the worthy dead from the unworthy dead, are no longer there to do intake. And so new souls cannot get into Hell properly. So you walk through and you just see a bunch of souls just kind of in line waiting to get into this giant city at the center of Hell, and they can't. And we learned a little bit about the Valkyries. You can learn about the Valkyries before you go to Hell. Basically, as soon as you get the chisel, you can go find some locations that were sealed off that you needed the chisel to unlock. And if you do, you find that Odin has put a bunch of the Valkyries in little like underground tombs, basically, and trapped them in mortal bodies. And they're bosses. They're challenge bosses. But fighting them from a story perspective, it's supposed to be you setting the Valkyries free from their flesh prison so that they can go back to what they're supposed to be doing with sorting out the living and the dead.
Did you guys fight any of the Valkyries?
I fought one.
How many are there?
9.
I didn't fight all of them, but I fought like 4, I want to say. 4 or 5.
I will say, Sigrun, the last of the Valkyries, the Valkyrie Queen, I mean, harder than any Souls boss I ever fought. Took me like 40-ish tries to beat her.
Wow.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fought the Valkyrie who is right by Freya's place.
Yeah.
And she sucked. I didn't like fighting her. She was tough. She was mean. She kept killing me. Pete, did you fight any Valkyries?
I did not, but I'd like to talk more about Hell.
Please do.
Yes.
Thank you. So there's this place, when you go down to Hell, you basically like look around and like stuff's scary. I guess I'm jumping ahead just a little bit, but I do want to talk about this. So I forget if it's before or after you beat the boss, but there's a point where you like look over and Freya is like, before you went down there, Freya's like, oh, don't go over there. Like whatever you do, like that's the bad place. Like don't check that out.
There's a bridge,
And I didn't-
and on the other side of the
Yes.
bridge, she's like, you can't come back from there.
Thank you. Yes. I didn't try to go over there. Can you go over there? Is that like a side quest?
No, you go
Nah.
over there later in the game by
Oh, okay.
accident.
Got it. Oh, yeah.
Right.
You're right.
But yeah, like
That's like, there's another thing that's like that where it's the road that you can quick travel through. They're like, don't go off the road, and then at a certain point you have to go off the road. But if you go off the road before then, you just get a game over.
yeah,
It's
you
kind of
just
like
get
that.
it's a bummer game over screen.
Yeah.
But yeah, while you're like leaving hell, you kill this. Look, it's another ogre with a broken pillar, basically, but this one's got ghost powers.
I actually heard that while you're fighting this guy, there is a giant bird in the background.
There is.
Rumor has it that they wanted you to be fighting that bird, but they were like, it's too hard.
To make that fight?
We can't code it. And so they were like, well, I guess you're going to have to fight this ogre. And then they kept the bird in there, and it's like you fly past it later on in the game.
Yeah,
you come
it
back
looks
here.
sick.
It's sick. And they're like, they did a lot of detailing on it because you were going to be like climbing all over it. And so they were like, we got to get really up close. How can we do that? And we'll see how they do that later on in the game.
Yeah,
It's
so
crazy to me that they didn't go through with that, because you fight things that are as massive, if not bigger, in the other God of Wars, and they did those like kind of stage boss fights really well.
yeah, that was one of the standout things about the series.
Yeah.
It's
was
hard
that.
though.
I think it's different because of the approach that they took with the over-the-shoulder camera instead of the kind of like, what is that, platformy?
The fixed camera. Fixed
camera,
fixed
exactly.
perspective. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the fixed camera angle allows you to get away with a lot of trickery because there are certain perspectives you will literally never see. You cannot see. There's no way to force the camera to do it. So you can just have, here's the arm of a monster. You see, the monster once, and then you start going up the arm, and then you can de-render all the stuff that will never be on camera. Like you could save a bunch of resources. And
Yep.
when you've got to render the whole creature and it's got to animate and you don't know where Kratos is going to be, it's just a much more difficult technical challenge. So I understand, and also like these games need to ship. I'm sure they could have figured it out if they had infinite time and money, but they don't. And I don't think it would it have been cool? Yes. Was it worth an extra 6 months or something to figure it out? Probably not.
Yeah. And they do have like other moments where you do get onto a flying beast. Like there are the dragons. There's a dragon you climb up all up and down later on. But those are like press one button fights. Press a
Yes.
couple of buttons to dodge and stuff. So it's not as labor intensive.
Yeah, I mean the scale of those dragons too doesn't even compare to the bird, like to hell as well.
So yeah, you kill this poor ogre with a cracked pillar, a palette swap of a boss you fought 4 different times at this point. You rip his heart out, and Kratos is like, "Oh, I hate butchering. I'm no good at it." You rip its heart out. This gives you access to another puzzle type, the Winds of Hell, which are some glowing green orbs that you can hit with your Blades of Chaos that will store hell winds for a finite amount of time on your blades, and then you will use that. You can transfer it from one orb to another to kind of power things. This is probably my least favorite of the puzzle. It's this or like finding the runes were my least favorite type of puzzle in this game.
The problem with this one is you have 10 seconds to get it from one place to the other. And usually there's like a hidden node that you can get it to in between. And so I would usually spend like, too many tries trying to get it from one to the other, and then I would like look up and there would be another node like above me. I would be like, well, that's how you do it. Just annoying. Just another thing to do.
I found it most annoying because it was a lot of, so the runes and these are both just pixel hunt puzzles at the end of the day. It's just find the node. Can you find it? And a lot of these environments are busy enough and have enough space going on, and they hide some of this shit like on the ceiling or behind a rock. And, you need to look at it at exactly the right perspective. Otherwise, you can't see it. And that's just the most tedious part of this whole game, is scouring these immaculately created locations for a fucking green widget that you need to throw your swords at.
You know how many times I would get it all the way over there, and I would have like 3 seconds left, and then I would throw my things and miss by like 2 inches.
Yeah.
Yeah, happened all the time to me too. It sucks every time it happens.
Just annoying.
Yeah, so we get the Winds of Hell. It's a new puzzle type. It is my least favorite of the puzzles, but it's fine, I guess. So you get the Winds of Hell, you leave Hell, you go back to Freya, you give her the heart, she uses it to make a potion. It's if a potion requires the heart of one specific dude, good for her using it to save your dumb kid. That seems like a single-use only sort of thing.
One specific dude who is very important, it seems.
Yeah, he's sort of like a central employee to Hell.
Yeah. I'll just hire the next ogre that comes down there.
I mean, that was like one of the things that, I could call out as like kind of being a little bit of an issue, where it's like, this being who ferries dead souls now is gone, and like you see no immediate consequences at all from this.
Well,
Yep.
I mean, Kratos does ask Mimir, like, so what's going to happen if we kill this guy? And Mimir's like, well, I mean, he mostly just keeps the living out of Hell. Like, the dead are supposed to go in there, so that's probably fine. He doesn't, like, keep them in there. Just stop the living from getting in. And he's like, and the living don't want to come here anyway, so it's kind of a useless job. It's really a make-work situation.
Which, now that I say it out loud, it's like, even if the game told me, it's like, oh, if you kill this guy, like, there's going to be more Hellwalkers around, then I would have just been like, okay, like, I don't really care, sure.
I don't really have a choice because you're telling me this is what the quest is.
And that's
so
that is the thing with this game that we will discuss more later, but there are often moral quandaries presented to Kratos, a man whose buttons only stab and punch. So, like, at the end of the day, Mimir can say there might be consequences, but the game doesn't progress if you don't, rip this dude's heart out. So you just kind of got to deal with it. Roller coaster design, for sure. So you get Atreus back. When Atreus wakes up, you basically tell him, Kratos tells him that he is a god. He's actually been a god this whole time. And his godhood, he kept it from him because he hates gods, basically, because gods are not good necessarily.
Yeah. Atreus is kind of a tool about it. Like,
almost immediately.
Yeah, you find out you're a god, and he's like, oh, can I talk to animals? And Kratos is like, I don't know. Like, can I jump real high or shoot lasers or whatever? I don't know.
I like that response where he was like, can I talk to animals? Because that's such like a little kid response.
That's true.
Yeah, I was like, okay, he's 10, 12.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think what it came down to for me at least is, you kind of we're like adults here, so it's very easy for us to say like, well, man, he's being shitty about it, and like, trust me, there were many times during that whole, like, I guess it's a couple hours where he's being a bad kid, where I just wanted there to be like a button prompt to like smack him behind the head, like, but I mean, then you look
where is my beat child button?
Yeah, where's my rip child in half button? Yeah, every time you ask him to, like, you prompt him to shoot an arrow, he just goes, whatever. Oh my god, that drove me up a wall.
He becomes a teenager briefly for a few hours, and everyone's like, "This sucks."
But you try to think, like, what would your reaction have been if you were a 12-year-old just told you have nearly unlimited power? Like, you would probably be a dick too. And, like, we could delve into it a little bit more, because I'd like to, but, he does become this mirror image of Kratos from, what we saw in the first 3 games. And now that Kratos is seeing, like, oh, this is the person who I was, I can't let Atreus become that.
This sucks so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really the thing that bothered me a little bit about this section was how much of a light switch it was. Like, Atreus is this caring, fairly noble child who's been neglected by his dad, and then he finds out he's a god, and he's like, oh, I understand now, like, why you tell the dwarves to shut up, because you're a god. You don't need to hear their dumb idiot bullshit.
Oh my god, he's so mean to them.
Yo, that was one of the worst parts too. One of my favorite parts of the game, though, again, like a really, really good quote, is when Atreus goes off on Sindri, and he's like, we don't care about little people's little problems. You're leaving, and Kratos is like, why were you mean to the dwarf? And then he's like, well, because we don't need to hear about it. And then Kratos, you see him start, like, actually implementing some fatherly advice, and he goes, it was needless and unkind. Like, I could be a rage-filled monster, but at least I'm not a dick. Like,
but on the other hand, there's also the fact that, like, he's like, you wanted to say it, you've been saying that to them all the time, and Kratos is like, I guess I have been really mean to the dwarves. Yeah, so there's some nice glass house moments, and he's just terrible. You're climbing the mountain again. He's shitty, like, basically the whole way up, or most of the way up. As you get towards the top of the mountain for your second climb, you run into Modi again, and he's talking shit. He's been kicked, just, like, beaten to a pulp by Thor, his dad, because his brother's dead, and he failed to prevent it.
And Modi's the shitty brother, obviously. I mean, I think that's uncontroversial.
Yes, he's got the shield. He didn't get the cool hammer, so, he's the shittier brother. And he talks all that good shit, despite the fact that he's, like, barely alive. He keeps talking about how he screwed your wife. He keeps talking about how you're terrible. And Atreus has had enough. But Kratos basically tells Atreus, like, we kill people in self-defense. We kill people when there's no other option. When someone is beaten, there's no reason to kill them. And Kratos tells Atreus, like, don't kill Modi because he's already beaten. You don't need to. And Atreus is like, but I want to, though. Flink. And just kills him.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's, again, like, it's the mirror image stuff where Kratos didn't need to kill some of those gods that he did in the Greek pantheon. He just did it because he could. And there's the one line, man, that really wanted me to, like, just throw this boy off the top of the mountain, was when he stabs Modi. He says, this is a much better knife than Mother's. It's like he's totally forgetting about his mom now and only focusing on the godhood stuff. Oh my god, that ruined me.
Yeah, so Kratos gives Atreus his Spartan knife after Atreus uses his mom's knife to jam a gear. There's a puzzle when you're trying to get the rune to get to Jotunheim. I think we skipped over it. It's after you get the Hell Winds, where Kratos is, like, trapped in some vines, and he's going to get drowned, and so he has to tell Atreus how to move puzzle blocks so that he can be saved. And then after, like, doing the puzzle thing, there's another trap, and Atreus has to, like, stop a gear with the knife. So he gets a replacement knife. But,
I didn't realize that's where that happened. I was like, where did his knife go?
Yeah, he jams the knife into the gears to prevent the ceiling from crushing Kratos to death.
Right. Yep.
So yeah, like, he's super shitty about that. And as you, I think, ascend the mountain, Kratos basically talks him off the ledge. At this point, that he's been. Oh no, he's trying to talk him off the ledge, but can't. He does later on. So you get to the top. You use the rune to get to Jotunheim. And then Balder shows up. Pete?
I mean, Baldur's just, he's a jerk. He's an invulnerable jerk, and you got to fight him again. It's the only thing he responds to is violence.
Yep. And so you fight him again. In your fight, he like hurts Atreus, and you basically shove him into the portal to into like the pillars that make up the portal to Jotunheim, and it breaks the portal. So you have to find another way into Jotunheim. You escape from Balder. Like there's a chase sequence on a dragon. Like he kidnaps Atreus because Atreus, I think he figured out the way to Jotunheim, and so Balder wants to kidnap him so that Odin can figure out how they figured it out. So you take down the dragon, you escape, and you need to find another way to get into Jotunheim. And it involves you going to Tyr. Like Tyr has a bunch of like
doing
secret
a lot
rooms.
of puzzles.
A lot of puzzles.
You gotta flip the temple over. You gotta.
Well, I mean, there was the whole sequence in Helheim where that's where
Yeah. So
Kratos
that
actually like talks him off the ledge. So to say.
So like after you basically he kidnaps Balder kidnaps Atreus, he takes him to Tyr's temple. You get there slightly after him, and he has put in the like code to Asgard, where you would basically be murdered by all of the Norse pantheon. And so you punch the hell out of him and break Tyr's temple, kind of, and it sends you to hell. And it throws you so far into hell that it throws you past the bridge of no return, and you basically need to navigate your way out. And Kratos kind of explains that, yo kid, yo Atreus, this was all your fault, and you have to like live with that. But if you keep acting in this kind of reckless way, you're going to just cause more damage. Trust me, I know, because that's my whole life, basically. And you see a scene between Balder and Freya where it's kind of a flashback, because Hell shows you flashbacks of like moments in your life. And Balder is seeing himself like after he learns that Freya has made him invulnerable at the cost of his ability to feel. He threatens to kill her and ultimately decides not to, and it's his greatest regret that he didn't just kill his mother right then and there. Kratos is like, patricide and matricide is bad, son. Kind of tries to talk his way out of it. And then you escape from hell on a ship that you turn into basically a hot air balloon. That's like the most Uncharted that this game gets.
It's kind of silly, but
They have
how
to
else
show you
are we
the
going
big
to get
bird.
so close to the bird?
Atreus also does see the moment where Kratos kills Zeus.
Yes. I want to ask, is this... I don't know much about the Norse perception of hell. Is seeing flashbacks of your life on, I guess, Midgard part of the experience? Or are you just, like, floating around in the ice world? Is this like our...
I haven't gotten to that part of the book yet.
Fair enough.
I mean, I'm not positive. I don't think hell is supposed to be like, a place of flowers and sunshine, but I don't know if it's like, again, eternal punishment as, other religions see it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's supposed to be Flashback City.
Mm-hmm.
Or that's just good storytelling.
Can I ask another God of War novice question?
Yeah, go for it.
So, are we supposed to feel bad that Zeus is dead? Like, is Zeus a victim here? Because he's pretty shitty in just all of Greek mythology.
Pretty much everywhere.
No, you're not supposed to feel bad that Zeus is dead. I think you're supposed to feel bad that Atreus is now subject to the past he was trying to keep from Atreus. Or, I'm sorry, that Kratos was trying to keep from Atreus.
But, like, the lesson here is, like, violence isn't the answer. Like, you don't want to be this, like, shitty god that just does whatever it wants. But, like, Kratos killing Zeus, like, put one in the win column for Kratos. you know?
Yeah, so like that's the thing about this game. The previous games did not really, other than killing Athena, like there were not many consequences. Almost all of the people that Kratos kills, like there might be consequences for the people of Greece, but there aren't consequences for Kratos. And most of the people that he's killing seem really shitty and seem like they are not good people. And I think like most of the people he kills, it's a net gain. So him feeling weirdly conflicted about what he's done, like not in just a angsty way, like him actually trying to have pathos about why he's feeling bad about this. I don't think they actually give us an answer in this game, like why we're supposed to feel bad about it, other than Atreus might get ideas about killing Kratos.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
Kind
I
of
think
what I was thinking, because it seems as though it's more of a reflection of if the cycle of violence continues, Atreus might become his father. It's just kind of the parental relationships that we're seeing kind of in everybody now that I think about it.
Yeah, there aren't a lot of good parents in this game.
I mean, we're reminded constantly of, what Kratos has done. I mean, that was an entire, path of vengeance that he followed. And like, we kind of hear snippets of it from Mimir, I think, where, if you're riding in the boat, he'll like try to talk about like stories of Greece and stuff like that. And like, it's very well known by the people who know the story of Kratos that like Greece was completely destroyed. And like, I think Kratos knows that too, is that, other people, innocent people suffered because of his need for vengeance.
So, with that being said, let me ask a follow-up question. Beyond the fact that he's the protagonist, should we care if Atreus kills Kratos? Like, would that also be a win for Atreus?
Potentially. I mean, I think that the game is trying to say like cycles of violence are bad, but also there's no answer except perpetuating the cycle of violence. The game doesn't give you an out.
The actual winner would be Sony. If Atreus kills Kratos, fuck, I did it again. I knew I was gonna do it. Then we just get God of War, whatever.
God of War spoilers in the name.
Yeah. Yes,
We'll say it. We'll say it next time.
Or
later
we'll
on.
get there.
I don't know. I mean, I think there truly is like a lot of merit in, there is the gameplay aspect of you cannot progress a story if you do not kill these things, but there's also like a lot of merit in, the fact that Kratos like does feel bad because he is just perpetuating like the ideas that he's trying to keep his son away from.
Yeah, it's this tough thing because Kratos, like the language of the game is all violence. Like there are no buttons that don't do punches or kicks or arrows.
It's like, press square to hug your son.
Yeah, there's no verb in this game that doesn't do violence. So on the one hand, like it having a story about we need to break the cycle, but having no tools to do that, I think it works from like a tragedy perspective, and these games have always been tragedies. That there's basically this inevitable thing that's going to happen, and I don't think it makes the story any worse knowing that it's going to happen, right? Like Hamlet is going to end up ruining things with his quest for vengeance at the end of Hamlet. People still read Hamlet or watch plays putting on Hamlet, even though he's going to make the shitty choice.
Which maybe is, maybe it's the lens that you need to take with all of these games, is that it's not supposed to have like this very happy ending where Kratos and Atreus are, sipping mead with the rest of the Norse pantheon. Like it is a tragedy at the end of the day for maybe not them necessarily because, they get to their main goal, but it's a tragedy for Freya.
Yeah, they are the neck snappers, not the neck snappies.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, there's no interlude in Hamlet though where he like twirls his cyclone blades and just like eviscerates his enemies. Like it's just there's some tonal shifts here that don't quite line up.
I see you haven't seen my my stage direction of my local production of Hamlet. I have some ideas for what happens to Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
Oh man, hold on. Hamlet video game. I'm writing this down. We're adding this to the list after our Christmas movie.
It's just
you know how much he talks, right? It's just him monologuing
Oh wait,
the whole
hold
time.
on. This is super important too. Trademark. I mean, you gotta trademark it right out the gate.
Yes.
Hamlet the video game. If someone can make Walden a game, Hamlet the game is available. Look, Hamlet 2 exists. That's a movie.
Oh my god! Like I'm thinking of Macbeth, the video game, and that would be the most boring shit I've ever played.
I always wanted a Moby Dick video game, but there'd be a lot of men sharing beds and sailors making raincoats out of whale foreskin for a mainstream audience, I feel like.
Yep.
How many raincoats can you get out of one whale foreskin?
A lot. Oh, and he talks about it for a while.
A ton.
It's not short.
Yeah. It's a Moby Dick game, but it's only about the chapter a squeeze of the hand. Pete gets it.
That's a good one.
It's been a while since I read Moby Dick, and I don't think I read very far.
It's the gayest chapter in Moby Dick.
It's like chapter 2. It's not even that far.
Yeah, it's about them squeezing the whale sperm, and by sperm they mean the fat. But it's just all double entendre, just all of it. All right, so God of War, he teaches the cycles of violence. They're bad. Kratos' son learns that his dad's done a cycle of violence, and his dad's like, "You should stop doing cycles of violence. We should stop it." So let's do that by going to find.
And Atreus is like, "I'm thinking I still might commit a cycle of violence, though."
Yep. So then you go back to Tyr's temple. You flip the temple. You get the new rune so that you can go to Jotunheim. And then Baldur, I believe, shows up and starts fucking shit up again. Before you can go to Jotunheim. First you have to go. There's a thing in the statue of Thor.
There's the thing in the snake you have to get.
Yeah, that's the craziest part. You gotta get swallowed by Jormungandr.
It's in
Is
the
that
statue.
the same thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
It's Mimir's second eye, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you need Mimir's second eye so that you can use him instead of a stone so that you can go to Jotunheim. And that means you have to go into Jormungandr's mouth because he ate the statue of Thor and it was in the statue of Thor. So you go in there, and while you're in there, Atreus does not like dipping his hands into the water in there because it burns. But you can make him do it a lot because there's gold in there.
I mean, this is just like a little tidbit, but it's like the venom is called Aether, I believe, and in the very beginning of the game when you throw your axe into the lake, and it gets spat back out by Jormungandr, it'll say on the side of the screen imbued with Aether, and I think that was the reason you could kill Modi or Magni. Is because that venom is supposed to be poisonous to gods.
Ah, okay.
And also, I mean, there is also the idea of only gods can kill other gods, and you do shove your axe into Magni's face, very deep in there. So maybe it wasn't the venom, but
yeah, who's to say?
Who's to say?
It's a real, they get the autopsy, and it's he was dead before the axe plunged into his skull. So you get, while you're in Jormungandr, you hear there's some thuds, and something's going on, and basically when you get spat out, it turns out Baldur's been punching Jormungandr while you were inside, because he wants to get your attention, because he wants to kill you. I think just general rage stuff.
Yeah, that's all he ever
mad
wants.
at you.
So then Freya shows up and is like, "Son, stop being a dickhead."
Don't hurt my son.
And also, Kratos, you stay out of it. And then Baldur's going to kill Freya. And Kratos is like, no, thank you. And so you start fighting him. The fight escalates. It goes from where you start all the way to the ice giant. And then you fight there, and Freya's wrapping you up with her powers and stuff to try and get you to stop beating up Baldur, and Baldur to stop beating up you. And at this point, she kept pleading for me to not hurt Baldur, and Baldur has infinite healing powers. So I did try to do exactly that. I tried to parry him for as long as I could without attacking him, and the game will not allow you to not beat the shit out of Baldur. Then after that round of combat, he punches Atreus square in the chest, but Atreus is wearing one mistletoe arrow, and it stabs Baldur in the hand, which, surprise, surprise, mistletoe is the one thing that can make Baldur mortal again, or killable again. Not mortal, but vulnerable. So at this point, the damage you do to him, he does not heal back. But he's also super into it because he has not felt anything ever. So he's like, cold is awesome. Pain is so cool. I love being burned alive or frozen. This is awesome. So Freya will continue to tell you not to kill her son. She animates the corpse of the giant and tries to have it interfere with you. Did any of you try to do nonviolence?
No.
It's God of War. Why would I?
Because she kept pleading, and I was like, look, I'm not killing your son. I'm just parrying. I'm not even hitting the counterattack button. I'm just parrying. And he won't. There's no. That's not an option.
Gino, you were like, this worked once in Undertale. I'm going to apply it to every game in the future.
Yes.
I mean, Undertale was in communication with these games because it was like, why are so many games like this? And then, what if you could actually do that?
And God of War was like, what if I just tore a man's ribcage in half?
What if I just punch him harder?
Yeah, so you have to kill him, or you have to fight him. Eventually, you get the opportunity to press L1 and R1 to punch him a bunch. I didn't press a button there, and the game did actually eventually move on without me punching him. And I guess if you punch him too, Kratos will eventually stop short of killing him. So the outcome is the same whether you pull the punches or not. Again, Kratos kind of steps aside. Freya says, leave me and my son alone. Baldur basically says, I'm going to kill you, Mom. And she says, if that's what you need to be whole, fine. Kill me. He starts to strangle her, and then Kratos is like, no, this stupid cycle of violence must end. So the secret here is to kill the child. That's how you stop the cycle of matricide and patricide.
Smart. Yeah, no, that's innovative.
The cycle of violence is to kill Baldur, and then Freya is like, you killed my son. I'm gonna fucking rain hell on you.
Oh my god, yeah, that
lady, come on.
I'm going to parade your cold dead body from every corner of every realm and feed your soul to the vilest filth of hell. That's great, yo. She was dropping bars there.
It's kind of metal, but also, come on.
The
just
fun
a little
fact,
guy.
The line that Kratos says to Baldur before he snaps his neck, where he says the cycle ends here, that's exactly what Zeus said to him when he killed Kratos the first time.
The first time? How many times did Zeus kill Kratos?
So much for that, Dad.
He technically killed him once, and then Kratos tried to kill himself at the end of God of War 3, but he wasn't allowed to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you kill Baldur, and then Freya's crying over his corpse, and Kratos then turns to Atreus and tells his son, look, we gotta be better than this. I know I just snapped this dude's neck, despite his mother telling me not to, but we need to stop this cycle of violence, son. It's really important that we stop doing this. And I cannot emphasize enough that he's doing this directly in front of Freya, weeping over her son's corpse. And that rang to me as one of the more ham-fisted moments in the game, because Kratos, like, very immediately going, like, do not what I do what I say, to his son who helped him kill Baldur. And they were a team in that the whole way. Yeah, I don't know if the game wants me to feel bad for Freya or what. I felt it was a little bit, video game manipulation of look at what you're doing, but also we're going to give you no options to do anything else. Feel bad about what you're doing. I can't believe you did that thing that was the only way to progress the game. How dare you feel bad about your words and deeds?
Maybe I look at it from like a too simplistic view, but I don't know. That didn't really affect me, the fact that I didn't have like a choice in the matter, because ultimately it's like, one, it's a video game, but two, it's like, what would Baldur have done if not for us to stop it? Like, again, he would have just continued the cycle of violence. And even though we are doing it ourselves, like, we are doing it because we do not have a choice. And that is Kratos' entire thesis, is that most of the things he's done, he has not had a choice until he needed to do it.
Yeah, and I think there's a point to be made that Kratos will have to kill Baldur either way, right? Right. If Baldur strangles Freya to death, he's not going to be chill afterwards. He's probably going to try and kill you.
Oh yeah, so Baldur's going to turn around and try to gouge your eyes out immediately.
So
but why would he do that? Why would he care?
That's what Baldur does.
Because he's
at
the end of the day. Mother. At the end of the day, he hated his mother, but he's also a pawn of Odin. He's going to do what Odin requests of him. And if Kratos is standing through or in his way, he's going to kill Kratos to get to Atreus.
And why does the scorpion stag the frog? I mean, why does the scorpion kill the frog? It's in his nature.
Kratos told that story to Atreus when I was.
Yeah.
Oh,
did he really?
Yeah.
Oh shit! Nice.
I thouh you knew that, and that's why you were referencing it. I'm so good at this after all these years. Damn.
My man's riffing over here.
He hit me with the facts straight from the text.
Yeah, so I mean, I get the calculation on Kratos' part. He'd rather a world with Freya in it and Baldur dead than both of them dead. It's tragedy stuff, You see that the choice that he's making is not going to play out well for him. Obviously, there are a bunch of options he could have taken that would not have resulted in Baldur's death. I mean, put him in a sleeper hold. I don't know. Chain him up with your chains.
Do you think Kratos knows sleeper holds?
Oh, yeah.
Do you think he knows to let go when the person goes to sleep?
No. I mean, he's got his weapons are literally chains. Just chain him up. There's a bunch of options that totally make sense, but at the end of the day, Hamlet doesn't have a heart-to-heart with his uncle and then resolve their issues. That's not what this is about. That's never what it's going to be about. So it's fine,
Shakespeare would have been booed off the stage if he did that.
Yeah, they resolve their conflicts and move on with their lives. Hamlet gets over it, dates Ophelia.
There wouldn't be any dick jokes the whole time. No
harvesting of Wilcom either. I mean, that's not the same story, but...
In many ways, the message is the same, I think.
Good try,
the message
though.
is still there.
Yeah, so you, after you have this moral moment, you then get to go back on your quest. Freya sets up a sequel, and then you go to the temple of Tyr's temple again.
Oh, wait. No, that's why Baldur needed to die, because we had to set up the sequel. So regardless of if Freya lives or not, he needed to die so that the prophecy was fulfilled, because that was what kicks off Ragnarok.
Yes.
So, we were talking about it before pod, and I was like, I mean, you know what? Actually, I'll save it. I'll save it for, when we get to that point of the story with the big reveal.
Yeah. So at this point, you have to find the temple, the path to Jotunheim. It turns out that the gate to Jotunheim is off of Yggdrasil's roots. So like when you take the fast travel system, you can jump off the side. Now you have to jump off the side, and when you do so, you find that there's this, gateway to Jotunheim that was hidden there the whole time. You return it through magic to where it's supposed to be. It kicks off a series of combat arenas, which are sweet. You then get the ability to travel to Jotunheim. You use Mimir as your gateway crystal, and you go to Jotunheim. Pete, what did you think of Jotunheim?
I mean, so it's full of giants.
That's true, yes.
Is it?
Okay, and
But
That
is
it?
it though?
Well,
Not-
it's full of
not
corpses.
really.
Yeah,
It's full of
I mean,
giant
they're
corpses.
dead giants.
the old Schrodinger's Jotunheim. Giants are alive, even if we're not there.
So one thing I want to know though about the Giants, since we're talking about them too,
They're a football team from New York.
sometimes they're big and sometimes they're not big, and I don't know why.
That's just a thing in Norse mythology, is that some things are giant in actuality, and other things, like other people, are not giants. Like,
That's a good way of saying some things are big and some things
Yeah,
are
some
not.
things are big, some things are
That's
small.
pretty much the answer I just got.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's
The-
like giant is just a race of
Yeah.
of creatures, both humanoid and non-humanoid. Like Jormungandr's a giant too, a Jotun.
They talk about this in the boat at one point. They're
Yeah.
like, why are some of the giants big? And Mimir is like, it's just a name for the type of people they are.
Yeah, that's like, I mean, I think Atreus brings it up where he just like, well, I'm not big, like I'm half giant, I'm not big, and then it's like, well, yeah, some giants aren't actually giant.
Yeah,
Did
so
he did he know that at that point?
I
Did
mean,
he
we
know he was
find
half
out.
giant?
No, when he finds out he's a god, there's a point before the end of the story where he goes, well, like, oh, maybe not.
No, there's New Game Plus stuff. Like you can wander around the world after you do the stuff in Jotunheim, and the game continues. So like I'm sure there's dialogue that is like post reveal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you get to Jotunheim and it's empty. Like there's no living things in Jotunheim. Odin has been paranoid, and I think it's poignant that like Odin has been so paranoid about this realm and about the people who are living there that he has been obsessed with getting to this place, and it's just a realm full of corpses. There's no knowledge here really, or there's not much here. You climb up. It's barely even a realm in terms of like navigation. You basically go up some stairs. It looks like Journey for a little while, and then you get to the top of this mountain. There's one temple where there's a prophecy about basically everything you just did, where Kratos and Atreus are, killing Balder, doing all this stuff, killing a dragon, like all of that. They find etched onto these walls, and throughout the game there are moments where Atreus, Mimir, and Kratos kind of talk about whether prophecy is prophesizing things in the future or things that have already happened. Like, where are we in the prophecy, right? Like, what? Because these prophecies are cyclical too. Like Ragnarok happens, like these cycles keep repeating themselves. Of Ragnarok, the world being reborn, the gods being born. They eventually, destroy the giants, and then Ragnarok happens again. So you never know where you kind of sit in the prophecy. And so you kind of see that, in fact, Kratos' wife knew about him and his son from these prophecies that she learned before they ever even met, which is interesting. And this is where, Rob, where you said in the previous podcast that like all of the gold stuff that's painted is actually painted by Kratos' wife. And this is where Kratos tells you that, or Atreus tells you that all of this gold, look, there was this is mom's markings. They've been everywhere we've gone. She knew every step we were going to take before we even took it. Which is interesting. It's interesting implications there. She's very fast, I guess. She's got a lot of paint. She was able to get to a lot of places and put paint. And then, yeah, you look out over the corpses of her people and you scatter her ashes and roll credits.
Yay,
Well,
we
hold
did
on.
it.
Whoa.
Oh.
Roll credits.
Oh,
Getting
and
reveal.
Oh, by the way.
oh, by the way,
Minor points.
who wants to say it? Who wants to say the big reveal?
You do.
Fine. Atreus at the end. Atreus is like, it's super weird. It was weird that on the walls, it said that like my name was Loki, and Kratos is like, yeah, your mom wanted to name you that, but I was like, I'm the husband, I get to name the kid. So I'm gonna name the kid Atreus after this Greek, this Spartan I knew who was really cool.
It was his brother in arms.
Yeah, but he was like a happy guy who killed.
He really enjoyed it, And when you enjoy what you do, you never work a day in your life.
Yeah, so like there's the reveal. And if you have played as many Norse games as we have, you know that like Loki kills Balder with a mistletoe, and so it makes the whole thing match Norse mythology.
So back to what I was going to say before. My first playthrough, I had no idea that was going to be the reveal, just because like I knew my fair share of Norse mythology, and it's like in the Norse mythology, Loki tricks Hoth to throw an arrow at Balder, a mistletoe arrow, and kill him. Where I was just like, yeah, mistletoe's there. It made him vulnerable again, sure. And then it was like, oh yeah, they called me Loki. I was just like, yo, what? Hold on. So I thought that was really cool. Maybe I'm just, stupid, but I don't know. I didn't.
No. It's fine. I just thought that it.
You mean the Marvel superhero?
Yeah, Balder from Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
They got the Baldur's Gate license to make this.
My
For
favorite.
them.
Yeah, I think that it's literally before I saw the ending cutscene, I was talking to my wife about this sequence where you kill Balder. And I'm like, yeah, it sure was weird that like, Loki didn't kill him, because that's who kills him in Greek mythology. In Norse mythology. And she was like, yeah, it's a game. You have to be the person who does it. It can't be Loki. And then at the end of the game,
Gino. We can't talk about Norse mythology all day long.
yeah. And then at the end of the game, it's like, ha ha ha, it was Loki who killed him. And his trickery instead was getting him to punch him clean in the chest.
Well, it seems that he is less of a trickster and more 12 years old. So.
The worst kind of tricksters.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it wasn't
kids.
So Loki's like parents were like an ice goat or something, right?
I think the
goat,
frost giants.
Or the frost giant? Whose dad was a goat? I don't know. Maybe I'm remembering Little Nicky.
So the goat.
Yeah.
The goat is he licks the ice queen to birth Ver, and Odin.
Okay.
Stuff's weird. Norse mythology's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
But I like to think that you were thinking of Little Nicky, Pete.
A phenomenal film, if ever there was one.
Yes. So yeah, that's the end of the game. Sequel set up. So I think some things we should discuss, because Tyr in the temple, they say, they have a diagram of all the places Tyr went, and we see Egypt, we see China, we see Greece, we see I think Mesoamerica as well. So once this all plays out and we get, God of War Loki, where should Atreus or Kratos be going to murder all of the gods next? What do we think?
It's a good question.
I'm all in for Egypt. I think fighting like a massive Ra would be awesome.
That does sound baller. I would be in favor of God of War Judas.
It's just you saving Jesus by snapping Judas's neck.
You just like eat these like 30 pieces of silver. How about 30 pieces of lead?
I know it's like Just I have this image playing in my head where it's like Kratos is carrying the cross too, and it's like this is my burden as well. Like I don't know, man.
When there was only one set of footprints, Kratos carried you.
Yeah, it's just like it's making me chuckle internally. Like
I think for serious, I do think Egypt is the play. Although I do like God of War Rome too.
Where it's
just the same thing.
It's just the
Same
exact
guys?
same gods, different names.
I mean, I don't know much about Celtic mythology, but I think I know I've read places where people have been very animate about Celtic mythology just because it follows like kind of the same suit of, big monsters, big gods, violent gods, stuff like that.
You need a certain
Mesoamerica
level.
would be fun.
Yeah, you need a certain level of name recognition as part of the problem, though. Like Celtic mythology would be cool, but I wouldn't recognize any of it. Mesoamerican, I mean, the only thing I could probably name is Quetzalcoatl.
Yeah, but you'll snap its neck.
It'll be really big, and you get to ride on it, and then snap its neck while it's in the air.
True.
Yeah. It'll crash and it'll be so sick.
I would like to see Scottish God of War. I think you should be able to kick around some brownies.
Kicking knee-high sprites.
Yeah, like Fey folk, changelings.
That
I
would
have a I
For
have
that
a
horse
myth,
that drowns children.
I have a
Oh.
myths and legends book that's been on my desk for a while. And then I looked at it and I was like, oh, there's a whole Norse section. It's like 50 pages. I really should have read this before we started talking about this. What was our question? If
Just
Balder,
wish-
if Balder kicked off the Ragnarok,
Yeah.
that is canonical. That was my question. It is in here, and also the whole like patricide and like brothers fighting brothers.
Oh yeah.
That's
Yeah,
a whole. That's the whole thing.
In the story of creation, Odin kills Ymir, which is the giant that, he uses its body to like birth Midgard.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, technically Ymir's his father, but it's like it's all over the place in Norse mythology too.
Yep, a lot of daddy issues.
Yep.
For sure.
So that could be why they picked it for this game, or they were just like, "That's rad as fuck."
It's probably because it was rad as fuck.
Yeah.
That's metal as hell. Let's make a game out of that. Yeah, so I think that covers it for God of War 2018, which means it's time to kick it over. Well, we've got the first, Rob, you're a super fan of this game. You love this game. You've played it multiple times. Do you have any closing thoughts before we turn our attentions to things that will be comedic in nature?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I can get on my soapbox about it for hours on end, but I'll, obviously try to condense it. Yeah, I was looking in the Discord, and you guys were mentioning like, oh, I want to hear why this is Rob's favorite game ever. And I think it's just because of the kind of the story and the turn or the change of Kratos. Because ultimately, like, Loki being there the entire time, Loki being the god of change, kind of proves the point that they were getting across, where it's like, even though there might be outside forces, like things are capable of changing, and that's kind of brought through with Kratos, is that, even though he had a terrible past that most people would say he is not redeemable from, he is also capable of change too, and he is trying to instill that in his son, that, I am who I am, but you are not going to become who I was. So that's the part that really, kind of struck home with me. And I will say that there's like a really good YouTube video that, I'd love to share with you guys that kind of wraps it all up. All of my thoughts, that says it perfectly.
Sure. Who is the creator?
The creator is Good Blood, and the video is called Untangling God of War. I mean, it is one of the most incredible videos I've ever watched.
That is actually the video that made me pick this game.
Yeah.
So that's like 36 minutes of unpacking all of the stuff we were talking about.
It only took us like 2.5 hours too.
Yeah,
Pretty good.
but it does a really good job. This guy does not make very many videos, but the ones that he has made, there's an Ocarina of Time one that is really good. I'm going to post this in the Discord while we're discussing it, so you can watch it on your own time.
Yeah.
And you too, listening at home, can join the Discord and watch this video.
Patreon.com/deeplistens. Yeah.
Or just
yeah,
go find
okay.
this video.
I mean, yeah. Whether it's personal connection that I feel to the story or otherwise. I mean, again, it's to me the perfect story of someone who was never really capable of redeeming themselves, finding redemption, and then letting go of it all because he deserves it.
Very nice, very poignant. So now turning our attention to literature. Em, I hear you've asked the robots to write us some more articles.
Yes, I managed to get a couple of prompts for our new feature.
Someone come up with a name for this. We need to come up with a name, please. The robots have written some prompts for us. So Em, tell us about God of War. The things we didn't notice that the robots did.
Sure. Let's see. Where should we start? What sort of lens would you like to look at the God of War 2018 game through? I think it's spoilers if I tell you what the lenses are.
Yeah, let's start with an oldie but a goodie. The Marxist lens.
Of course. In the video game God of War 2018, the blah blah blah. This is the backstory. Through a Marxist lens, it is clear that this video game promotes class warfare. In particular, Kratos represents the working class. Well, this is about Zeus. God damn it! I said 2018.
Well, Zeus represents the proletariat.
Zeus represents the ruling class by fighting against Zeus and his fellow Olympians. Kratos is essentially rebelling against those who oppress him and his people. This struggle between classes is a key component of Marxism. And then in 2018, this goes into a feminist breakdown.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Keep going.
I love it.
I kind of want to.
What does it even say? Does it just
roll
end?
right into it. Interestingly enough, there are also feminist elements at play in God of War 2018.
Don't believe you.
For example, one scene shows Kratos teaching his son how to properly respect women.
What was this in the new game plus?
Yeah, that's after you kill Freya's children. Something that would have been unheard of in ancient Greece, where women were considered property rather than human beings. Additionally, many of the female characters...
One?
The one?
are shown to be just as strong and capable as their male counterparts.
That's true.
Further breaking down traditional gender roles within society. I don't know if that's true.
They're definitely capable.
Sure.
A lot of murder.
And everyone
Yes.
is capable of redemption.
I see. Let's see. I'm gonna go to the Grimdark.
Oh, good.
God of War 2018 through a Grimdark lens. In God of War 2018, Kratos must overcome his past and save his son from the gods. However, through a Grimdark lens, the story is much more tragic. Sure, I don't know how it could be, but Kratos was once a great warrior who served the Olympic gods. However, after he killed his wife and child in a fit of rage, he was cast out by the gods and forced to wander the earth alone. He eventually finds himself in Scandinavia, where he meets Atreus, his son with Faye. That is kind of how it happened.
You hate when that happens, when you meet your son.
Together they embark on a quest to stop the Norse god Balder from taking over Midgar, the world of humans. Along the way they face many challenges and tragedies, but ultimately prevail against all odds. The The tragedy of Kratos' backstory makes him an even more sympathetic character as we see how far he's fallen since his days as a hero. Additionally, seeing him fight alongside Atreus gives us hope that perhaps one day he can find redemption for his past sins. See, that one's kind of accurate.
Tell me more about how Kratos teaches Atreus to respect women.
Okay, all right.
I mean, this game, it hates women so much. Like, Freya is the only woman who's not dead or begging for death. I guess the Valkyries, you could say. I don't know if Valkyries are even gendered. They're feminine. You just murder them, and they are happy that you've killed them. Your wife is dead at the beginning of the game, and Freya turns on you irrationally.
For no reason.
Part of me wants it to be like Kratos unleashes a Spartan rage because Baldur keeps misgendering Freya.
I was just waiting. I was waiting for Kratos to just be like, "Woman, it's completely irrational for you to be mad at me. Your son was going to kill you. You're hysterical, woman.
Hold on, let's talk about this.
Let's use facts and
We're
logic
gonna
to
sit down.
figure this out."
All right.
Kratos stops
all right,
killing
one more.
and just yells, "Debate me!"
Oh no,
Yes.
I gotta pick a good one. We're gonna file that one away. God of War 2018 through the lens of if Atreus was a household pet instead of a boy.
What? Yes. Okay, go.
This is Rob's contribution.
Thank you.
The last one, for real. In the God of War series, protagonist Kratos is often accompanied by his young son Atreus. In 2018's God of War, however, things are different. Instead of a boy, Atreus is now a household pet.
Whoa.
From this perspective, the game takes on a whole new meaning. While some may see Atreus as simply a nuisance that gets in the way or barks too much, others will find themselves empathizing with him more than ever before. After all, he's just trying to do his best and protect those he loves, even if it means making some mistakes along the way. See, that one kind of got it. Sort of.
Sort of.
Kind of. There's a big twist there at the beginning. But...
Boy, you will be house trained. You will not shit in the house.
Thank you, robots.
Thank you, robots. And that's words from a robot.
Yeah, that's the
Does that
name of
work?
the-
That might
that's
be
the
it.
name
That
of
might
the
be the
thing.
one.
That's good. I was trying to come up with like a Turing test upon. I didn't quite get there.
Think about it.
Thank you for more words from a robot, M.
No problem.
And thank you, Rob, for joining us.
Yeah, no, I just want to say a quick thank you to you guys for, letting me join in and talk about the things that I like. I had a really, really fun time discussing this with you. And, if there are any more games that I've played before, I'd love to come back and spew a bunch of BS about those too.
Awesome.
That should know.
Thank you, Pete.
Yeah, I mean, we spent a good portion of the time clowning on this game, but, it's a AAA series for a reason.
It's good. It can take it.
It can. Yeah, God of War isn't like we're not hurting God of War's sales numbers. Like they're fine.
Yeah, I mean, my whole take with this was that God of War, the money could have been enough of the reward. The fact that it also got every single narrative award as well, that was what confused me. But it is a well-made game that we enjoyed playing. Thank you, M.
Thank you. This one, Rob has been trying to make me play for a very long time, like 4 years. Finally got it under my belt. Thanks for letting me do it on the podcast and subject you to it.
It's my turn to pick again, and
It is.
I was looking at the Game of the Year categories, and there was one category that made me very sad when I looked at it, and that was the horror section, because currently our best horror nominees are fucking Layers of Fear, About an Elf, The Supper, Prison Architect,
About an Elf,
Fulfillment, and Elden Ring.
Elden Ring's in there? What?
I mean,
yeah,
Kinda.
About an Elf is in
horrific.
there. It's a tough category.
it's a very barren section this year, I think, other than Prison Architect, but that's a different kind of horror.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get another horror game in here that's a horror game. And we haven't actually covered a game from this most prolific of series. So I thought we should play Resident Evil,
Ooh,
Okay.
good choice.
Okay.
the first one,
Oh
Oh,
no.
all right.
for the Sony PlayStation.
The first one, the remake, right?
No, you play the first
Aw.
one for the
Can't wait
Sony
to-
PlayStation.
Can't wait to steal that from somewhere.
Mm,
So yes,
completely legally.
we will legally play Resident Evil for the Sony PlayStation. And I'm going to be defeating some old nemesis because I saw that game as a child. My cousin played it at my home and it gave me nightmares.
I'm pretty sure Nemesis is in the second one.
Yeah, that's the second one. So I won't get to kill Nemesis, but I will get to overcome my fear of Resident Evil.
There you go. Exercise some demons,
I'm gonna overcome my fear of tank controls.
I think it's excise demons, not exorcise them. I don't want them stronger and having more stamina.
No, you're like an exorcist.
No, you're an exorcism, yeah.
The excise would be cutting demons out, which, I mean, you can. That'd be good, too.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Well, thank you, listeners. Thank you, co-hosts. Thank you, Rob. Reminder, you can get in touch with the show at DeepListensPod on Twitter, deeplistens.libsyn.com. We have our comment sections, and deeplistenspodcast@gmail.com. You can support the show at patreon.com/deeplistens. And if you're in a position to do so, please donate to the National Network of Abortion Funds. Till next time, peace.